How it do, fellow man-animals? Today I'd like to take a moment to lay into Sam Harris for his opinions regarding artificial general intelligence. Do enjoy. Let's have a listen.
Get our shit together by the time artificial intelligence is given birth to?
Well, that all goes to what we build. I mean, if we build artificial intelligence that is independent of us and seems conscious and is more powerful than us, well, then we have built in the limit, we have essentially built a god that we now have to be in relationship to, and hopefully that's works out well for us. And it's very easy to see how it might not. I think there are even scarier cases than that, though. We could build something that has godlike power, but there's no reason to think it's conscious. It's no more conscious than our current computers, which is to say that intelligence and consciousness may be separable phenomena. Intelligence can scale, but consciousness need not come along for the ride.
So here we go with this very big tautological assumption, again, that godlike AI is possible. And we're starting from that assumption for reasons that are ill-explained, where the physics is available for this thing to manifest or never truly investigated. But Sam is assuming that this is possible. So yes, it is tautologically true that if this thing were possible, then maybe we would have something to worry about. But we haven't even established yet if this is anything short of a fantasy and if the physics is available.
Nick Bostrom, the philosopher who wrote a great book on this entitled Superintelligence, I think he calls this the Disneyland without children. I mean, basically we could build this incredibly powerful, intelligent landscape that continues to refine itself and its own powers.
Forgetting how awesome a Disneyland with no children, therefore smaller lines, sounds, so many rampant questions come to mind when you say that it can refine itself and its own powers. What is meant by that? What could it magnify? How could it magnify it? And what limits would there be on this frame? What couldn't it do? Does it have any limitations? But more importantly, how do you know this? Now, taking a little bit of a detour, Nick Bostrom is a name that crops up a lot in these circles. Nick the Boss Bostrom is an author, philosopher, proponent of strong AI, and a level 37 Jedi Knight. Nick is the founding chair of the Future of Humanity Institute in Oxford, and is famous for making provocative statements such as the following.
Think about it. Machine intelligence is the last invention that humanity will ever need to make. The machines will then be better at inventing than we are, and they'll be doing so on digital timescales.
Think about it. Machines will suddenly and spontaneously have the ability to outperform their creators. Why and how, you ask? Would they be able to do this? Reasons. Now, before I turn my attention back to Sam, there's one point that Nick makes that I want to take a jab at.
What this means is basically a telescoping of the future. So think of all the crazy technologies that you could have imagined maybe humans could have developed in the fullness of time. So cures for aging, space colonization, self-replicating nanobots, or uploading of minds into computers.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. There seems to be nothing that artificial intelligence can't do. In the future, trademark, artificial intelligence can cure cancer, help my dog realize his dreams of becoming an astronaut, and even revive M. Night Shyamalan's directing career. Well, maybe not that.
All kinds of science fiction stuff that's nevertheless consistent with the laws of physics.
Did I hear you correctly?
Consistent with the laws of physics.
This is something that's said pretty nonchalantly by Nick Bostrom, but it betrays the magnitude of just what he's asserting. What's usually said in defense of criticisms against this idea is that it's not possible, according to physics. But this is a very confusing way of going about demonstrating the validity of an idea, not to mention a complete reversal of the burden of proof. I'll save that discussion for a different video. Right now, let's get back to the Joe Rogan Experience with Sam Harris.
In who knows what ways perhaps that are unimaginable to us, and yet the lights aren't on. There's nothing that it's like to be this machine or system of machines. In the way that it's probably nothing that it's like to be the internet right now. You think of all that's going on the internet. I don't think the internet is conscious of any of it right now. The question is, could the internet become conscious of what it's thinking? And I think there's no reason to think it couldn't.
There's also no reason to think that it could. It cuts both ways.
It's just we don't understand the physical basis of consciousness yet.
The real question is, why would it do anything? I mean, if it doesn't have any of the biological motivations that people have to breed and to stay alive and to, fight or flight and to be nervous and this desire to carry on our genes.
Joe Rogan to the rescue, rescuing the conversation from complete madness. Why would you assume it had any of these values? Why would you assume it would behave any way that it was not programmed to? From whence do these motivations come?
I mean, if you really did build the ultimate supercomputer, artificial intelligence that was beyond our capacity for reason and understanding, wouldn't it just do nothing? Because everything is pointless.
Exactly. Where is it getting its motivations from? Why would it just suddenly have these values? Why would it do anything of its own accord? How would it know to do anything like that? Questions.
Well, no, because but we would
program it.
It would do whatever we asked it to do initially, right? I mean, things we program now have goals, right? Your thermostat is trying to regulate the temperature in the room, and when it gets too warm, it kicks on the air, and when it gets too cold, it kicks on the heat. And I mean, that's a goal, right? And so everything we build that's automated has goals explicitly programmed into it. And when you're talking about a truly intelligent machine, it will discover goals that you have never programmed into it that are intermediate to the goal that you have programmed. So if the goal of this machine is to pick up all the trash in this room, and you physically try to stop it, well, then it's going to try to get around you to pick up the rest of the trash in the room, right? So it's this is probably already true of a Roomba, right? I actually don't have a Roomba, but if you put something in the way of the Roomba, it's going to get around the thing you have put in its way so that it can get to the rest of the room. So that's an intermediate goal, and some of these goals need never have been explicitly thought about or represented.
But it still had to be represented symbolically, which is meaningful. A Roomba doesn't know when a stop in its motion should mean that it should turn, should do anything. There's no reason to assume it would just assume that posture unless it was programmed for that. Simply because it's expressed symbolically doesn't mean that it's thinking on its own. Any more than a trash can is thinking about being a great place to put your trash. It's not magic, it's just good design. Whoops, there goes 8 minutes of your life down the drain. I hope you enjoyed this or something, and if you did, share it with your friends. I'll be picking up where I left off in part 2. So stay tuned from the world of tomorrow.